This is the Andrew Walsh podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen. I really appreciate it. I'm praying you can take away something from this episode that brings value to your life. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast to stay up to date with the latest episodes, and please share with a friend if you feel you're getting something out of these episodes. You can also follow me on Instagram at @A_Walsh. Let's fire it off. All right, what is going on, my friends? I have a legend in the building today. It's Dr. J. We happen to be wearing matching shirts today, too, if you're watching on YouTube. Dr. J, what's up, man?
What's up, my man? I told you that color looks great on you already, so.
Oh, my gosh. He's hyping me up. Fellow Salvadorian brother over here. He's going to deliver some amazing information and we're going to have some great conversation today. He's sipping out of his Lakers cup. So,
dude, gotta rep heavy.
Gotta rep heavy. We're going to start today with a quick prayer to get us started. So either bow your head, close your eyes, or just kind of talk it through if you're driving right now. So Father God, we thank you for this amazing, wonderful, joyous day. We have so much to be grateful for, our ability to walk, to see, to hear, to taste, to touch, to feel, and to have a podcast featuring Dr. J, who is an amazing Christian man who's come such a long way and has such a wonderful story to share. God, I'm praying that you speak through him and guide our conversation today to directly impact the audience who's listening in the best way possible to serve you, God. We thank everyone who's listening today, that there's a reason you're listening to this right now, God, that you speak to them through Dr. J and that you bless everyone who listens to this podcast, not only today, but for the month and the year, that they see favor and unexpected blessings come into their life, that they have no other explanation besides your glory and favor upon them, God. We pray this in your name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Woo. Okay, this is going to be some good stuff today. So Dr. J, he's a chiropractor. Can you give us a little background on you, just for somebody who's listening? They're like, I've never heard of this guy. Who's Dr. J?
All right. I am a sports-oriented chiropractor in the city of Tustin. I went to Cal State Fullerton for kinesiology and then decided to go into chiropractic at that point for another 4 years post-grad, graduate school. And I opened up my office in the city of Tustin, actually Orange at first, and then moved over to Tustin. And we specialize in sports injuries for the most part, therapy, not your traditional chiropractic by any means, very, very different, but a little bit more thorough, I like to call it. And so we do a lot of sports therapy, rehab, and treat everything else than everything else as not just the spine as well, like most chiros do.
Yeah, so Dr. J, for those of you guys who don't know, his original way of getting in contact with me was amazing. So I just want to shout you out. For any business owner, your initial approach was amazing. I've never seen anybody do it. And do you care if I share how you initially got me into your office?
Do it, man.
So I'm on Instagram. I'm in Newport at the time, and Dr. J sends me an Instagram message, say, hey, we want to give you free treatment. We're going to shoot a video. Do you mind coming in? I'm like, dude, yeah, free treatment. I'm a weightlifter. I'm all jacked up, my neck, everything. And they're going to film it, give me content. You bet your butt. I come in here, Dr. J, first off, nicest guy, amazing staff. I walked out of there feeling like a god. I was, floating out of your office. My neck had never felt better. And, you got me in the door. And once I was in the door, it was game over. And I always tell, because now my wife goes to see Dr. J. We live in RSM. It's like a 35-minute drive to come out. And it's not even a problem. I'm like excited when I look, I'm like, oh, seeing Dr. J. This is just a like shameless promotion here. You and your staff are so friendly, and not only do we walk out of there feeling better, but we always have the best conversations. I know that's a culture that doesn't happen by accident. Can you maybe shed some light onto how that culture has come to be? Because I know it stems from the top and it radiates out. Can you kind of share how you've built such a great culture at your chiropractic spinal performance?
Sure. Culture was the first thing that I established before I even knew the name of this office. And I think that it goes to say that customer service and creating an experience goes a very long way, because you can be really good at your craft, but if I came to realize that it has to do a lot with the way that you feel. I mean, and we all know that the mind is strong. The way, what your thoughts and all that good stuff and how that impacts your physiology. So I figured, okay, I've been to hundreds of doctors' offices, hundreds, and they don't have a nice home family feel. At least not most of them do. And I was like, man, I really want to be different. I want to impact every single patient that comes through my door in a positive manner, because we have so many things going on outside, work, family, your significant other, yourself, working out, and everything just kind of bombards you throughout your day. So I was like, all right, man, I have to think of a way that I can impact and have my energy be infectious so that it becomes more so of a positive thing towards you and creates an experience that you love to come to. Like, hey man, I'm excited to talk to so and so, and I'm excited to converse and ask therapist so and so how did everything go after all with this and that. So I figured, I was like, all right, man, what's the difference between a Marriott or Sheraton bed and a Ritz Carlton bed? It's the same. It could potentially be the same bed for all that we know, but what changes is the way that people approach you, the
Mm.
quality of service, and that became the determining factor on how I was going to separate myself from the three chiropractors in my building,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I've walked up there. There's like a couple other in your exact building,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Like, it's not competition because your approach is proprietary, right? So like I'm me, and Dr. J will always be Dr. J. Andrew is always Andrew, and we both have something very individual to offer.
Oh my gosh. I love you have me thinking of that Maya Angelou quote. It's one of my favorite. You know, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Not only do you make people feel better physically, like my neck feels better, I feel lighter, I don't have headaches, or that's great. I feel better. But I also walk out of there like I had great conversations with not only you, but like Perla or other members of your staff besides just you. And it's like you nailed it, man. Like we're so busy, relationships, finances, work, to come and have 30 minutes, 45 minutes self-care treatment,
Self-care.
people that are friendly, asking you questions, taking your mind off of everything. I mean, you're a tremendous leader. Do you lead more by example, or do you say like, hey guys, this is some expectations? Or do you mind sharing a little bit of like your yourself as the owner of your company?
Yeah, that's it's an easy question to answer, but it's sometimes a little bit difficult to have it um, pretty much flourish within the office. I hold myself to an expectation that nobody else holds me to that, right? I think that it starts within
Mm-hmm.
that. If you have high standards, then you have to perform at certain standards in order to be able to get to your goals and fulfill your goals and desires and stuff like that. But I will never ask of my staff anything that I don't do myself. So I'm a big advocate of doing it yourself before asking of it to other people, because you know essentially I don't like to call myself the owner of Spinal Performance. I like to consider us as a team, right? We're
Yeah.
no more than you. Whether you're a therapist, whether you're a receptionist, whether you're an intern, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're a team. But I think that the important approach is I'll clean the bathroom too if I have to. I'll mop the floor too if I have to. But setting that tone from the get-go within, and then laying some standards out and like, all right, man, you're hired for this, and these are these are, you know, the expectations, and pretty much setting that tone has been effective for me. Granted, part of being a business owner comes with the territory of a little bit of fine tuning along the way. Like, it won't always be the way that you want it to, or like if you're a perfectionist of some sort, but it's part of the learning experience too. I mean, I wasn't there's no specific and perfect handbook on how to, you know, be a parent, how to be a perfect husband, how to be a perfect business owner. So you learn and you go, you know.
Yeah, I love this, Dr. J. I think even for the audience, you made me think of John Wooden, the famous UCLA basketball coach, because he was famous for having won all these national championships. He's one of the he's arguably the best college basketball coach of all time. And anybody who knows, they said they'll see him sweeping the gym floor, mopping up the gym floor. There was no tasks that he wasn't willing to do. And you literally even just said, like, I'll clean the bathrooms, I'll mop the floor, right? And I think for anyone who's listening, if you want to be a business owner or you want to be a leader in your field, you'd be amazed. People may not say, "Oh, hey, Dr. J, I saw you clean that bathroom, like great job," but they're watching you, right? And they may not ever verbalize that, but you'd be amazed by your actions. You never know who's watching, right? And I
Right.
love that example of, putting your grocery cart away, or you're in the grocery store and you're like, "Oh, I don't want this item," and you just put it next to the shelf, but you don't walk it all the way back to where it should go. That
Right.
standard of excellence, you don't know who's watching, right? And I think true character shows when you don't really care who's watching and you just do it anyway because that's a standard you hold yourself to, you
Right.
know?
And I mean, like I said, I don't like to make it like, hey, I'm the owner and stuff like that. But ultimately, this is my baby.
Yeah.
So who's going to take care of your business and what's yours better than you? You can't expect somebody to take care of your creation or anything that you put your energy into if you don't even take care of it yourself. It even goes into like the self-love factor. Like, you can't expect people to love you appropriately if you don't even love yourself
Mm.
appropriately. It starts with the inner self, right? So I think that that's an important take on that.
I love that same approach. And I remember a conversation that you and I had a while ago. And it might have been a small group. I don't even know if it was at your office, but you told, because this is your baby, this is your business. I remember you having an amazing story. Like, you had finished school, you had a ton of debt, you weren't really making that much money. Can you share for everyone who's listening? Maybe they are a business owner or they want to own their own business. What that, post graduation, and something was like, dude, I need to work for myself. I need to start my own thing. Can you share a little bit of that process?
Sure. It's going to take a while,
We
but
got time. We got time.
cool. So decided to be a chiropractor 8 years after, uh, including undergraduate, graduate school, graduated, obviously, and 150 to $200,000 in debt.
Whew.
It's tough. So I'm like, all right, cool. But there's that misconception that I'm going to graduate, I'm going to become a doctor, and then I'm going to make a six-figure salary like that. And that is far, far away from the truth. It's in particular to our profession. So the last year of graduate school is meant to go intern at different offices so that you can potentially come up with a job, and okay, you're secure after that. But so I started interning for a doc out in South Pasadena, and we got along really well, and I was seeing all his like 30 patients a day, and it was cool because I was getting the experience, and then he was trying to grow his office even more, so probably looking into retirement. But essentially what happened is at the end of that year, I was expecting a job as we had been talking about for about 6 months prior to that time. And dude ghosted me, man. He completely ghosted me after graduating, and I was like, "Hey, doc, man, I'm looking forward to working like the moment that I graduate and being part of this office and, making earning a living. And he was like, yeah, yeah, we'll figure it out when you graduate. And I'm like, huh, I don't know if I feel good about this, but anyway,
Mm.
I interned in other areas too, but this was just like my safest bet, right? I graduated and nothing, man. The dude ghosted me completely for a little over a month because there was that break for Christmas and New Year. So I went to look for him. I was like, hey man, what happened? So I went and walked into his office and he was like, oh, he's like you saw a ghost. And then I was like, dude, where you been? Like, I've been calling you and, everything. And he was like, oh, dude, well, business has been bad and I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to hire you. I'm like, bro, how could you do that to me? Like, you knew that you weren't going to hire me from the get go and you led me on. I was like, I could have easily like been putting in my hours elsewhere. I was driving from La Habra to South Pasadena 4 times a week, dude. To and like from, right?
Ooh.
Like putting in some work. So anyway, that went south, and then I got an interview. I managed to get an interview uh, that week, sure enough, and there was in Lawndale. Yeah, it's west of here, but the the lady liked me, and she was like, "Hey, you're a great adjuster. You do great treatments, and I want you on. I want you on board." And I was like, "All right, cool." And she was like, "You have the job, but." She was like, this guy that you're going to replace is not leaving yet. And I was like, perfect. I get licensed in 4 weeks. And so I have to wait to treat a patient, right? And she was like, perfect. So I get licensed. I called her the moment I got licensed. My license came in the mail. I was like, hey, doc. I was like, I'm ready whenever you are. And she didn't answer and she didn't get back to me that day. So I was like, damn, like what happened now? And so she called me back like 2 days later. She was like, hey, doc, just a heads up. She's like, the guy that you were supposed to replace decided to stay. And so it's better for me to just keep him. I'm
Mm.
like, all right, man, I'm getting tired of this game. So I was like, doc, you told me I got the job. I didn't look elsewhere. So I was like, I was a little bit disappointed, right? And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I can only give you like 4 hours a week, all the way to Lawndale. So I was like, no, I'm good. So I went back to the drawing board, man. I think I called over 100 clinics. Just got to it, man. All the classifieds, every website you can think of, I called. And I was like,
Wow.
man, I'm looking for a job. I'm in debt, but I, you know, I'll pay my dues, whatever. I just want to work. Nothing, man. No luck until I came across this classifieds ad that said looking for someone to take over office in Huntington Beach. And I was like, Huntington Beach. I was like, I'm not too familiar with Huntington Beach because I've never lived in Huntington Beach,
Yeah.
first and foremost. And then afterwards, I was like, well, I barely became a chiropractor a few months ago. And I'm not sure if I don't know anything about business. I just know, how to treat you. I know how to diagnose. And so I called, and then the guy was like, "Hey, yeah, I bought that practice 5 years ago. That ad is old." And
Oh,
I'm like, "Dude, I'm sorry," but he was like, "Hey, why don't you come on through and we'll talk, and maybe you can start here." And I was like, "All right, sure." So I got there, and the guy tells me, he was like, "You know what, dude? I can't offer you a dime, but what I can offer you is to be here and I teach you everything that I know so you have no issues with as far as starting your business within my business and then you cut me a percentage." It was a pretty large percentage. But then I was like, "All right, cool. I'm down with that. If, I'll pay my dues. Again, I just want to work and get my feet wet and if I have some type of guidance and orientation then more power to me." Cool.
yeah.
So we get down to it and pretty much the experience was lousy with regard to as far as learning is concerned. I mean, dude played me too. And
Wow.
didn't really teach much. He was just very money hungry and I wasn't making it, man. And he was guiding me towards investing thousands of dollars in like thousands of dollars that I didn't have. into different market. You know how expensive marketing can get too.
Yeah.
So, and man, it had been a good five months. And I tell this guy, dude, I've only made $800 in 5 months.
Wow.
And I was
Wow.
like, would you mind reconsidering our percentage split just because I'm struggling right now, right? To say the least. And he looked at me with like this like look in his eye and he was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "You got to be kidding me." He was like, You new guys that are coming out of school are so privileged and you don't understand that you're in a gold mine." And he's like, "You got to be effing kidding me." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not. Like, I'm just telling you that I need help." And, you know, y- I was with the impression that you were going to teach me everything. And, I was going to do some work after that. But quite frankly, I've got nothing, man. And obviously, the results show like I'm putting in the work, I'm putting in time, money that I don't have.
Yeah.
And he pretty much he got pissed off at me for just simply having a conversation with him. I wasn't coming at him sideways by any means, but and then he started yelling. He was like, "Are you gonna F and stay or are you gonna leave?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm out. Forget you."
Yeah.
During the time I had a second job that was kind of holding me afloat a little bit. But then afterwards, I went back to the drawing board. I called another 50 spots, nothing, man. And so I came to the conclusion that the only way that this is going to work is to create the opportunity that nobody was willing to give me.
Mm.
Sure, like and I remember like speaking about it with my dad, and I was like, "Hey, like the struggle's real. I can't really seem to find my way." And I'm thinking that the only way is to start my own business. And he was hesitant off the bat. I i i was confused at the moment as to why I wasn't getting the moral support from him, but now being a business owner and being in the business for 7 years, I completely understand why. But he's like, "Dude, I don't know, like you just became a doc, you've never owned a business, and it's difficult, overhead and what you have to pay initially looking for a place and buying things." And I was like, "Yeah, I understand, but I'm honest, I've hit rock bottom. I don't know which way to go. Like, dude, I'm feeling like borderline depressed here. Like, what am I supposed to do? What's supposed to be my next move?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, honestly, I've saved up $21,000 from my school loans." I was like, "Look, I'm gonna give you 11," and it was 22,000. So I'm gonna give you 11 and keep them there because if they're in my bank account, I'm gonna use them, and I'm going to keep 11 myself.
Mm.
And I was like, with this 11 grand, I'm gonna find a place. I'm gonna buy all the initial equipment, and I'm going to just get started. Like, I'm not going to ask for anything else. But if somewhere along the way, because overhead expenses and stuff, like it gets tough and I don't break even right away, because you know how long it takes to break even in a place, right? It takes
Yeah.
months, years probably in some cases. But I was like, just in case that scenario happens, then you have the money and I can, and then you'll see what's up. You'll help me and then just give me some of that money back. So just hold on to it for me. And so yeah, man, I used that, and I found some used chiropractic tables way out in Fresno, and I told my dad, "Hey man, you want to go for a road trip with me in Fresno?" Like crazy. He had a little Tacoma back then, and these are like heavy tables and they're big. And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "I'm not renting no U-Haul, like I'm not doing anything." I was like, "You come with me or I take your truck, one of the two."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Dude, let's row." And nice of him, he took part of his work week off for that. But we got these used tables, cleaned them up really nicely. I got some affordable therapy units that have like electrical muscle stimulation, interferential current, combo, ultrasound, the whole shebang. It's so badass. I still have it, and I
Oh
still
my gosh.
use it. I still use it. It was my favorite machine. But I started off slow. I went on Overstock and I bought a bunch of things, and you can accumulate points to buy new things for free. And I did that. I bought all the furniture for like 3 grand, 3,500. And the tables were already there, and the units were like $1,000 back then. And I found a place in Orange off Chapman in the 57 freeway. It was close to where I was, and it was perfect. I was like, where do I start? I don't even know where I start. And I was like, boom, the epicenter of like Orange County. We'll go there. So I found the spot, and I fell in love with it. I looked my commercial. Is it a commercial broker or
Yeah, yeah.
the
For
real
the
estate?
commercial property. Yeah.
Yeah, I contacted one of those guys, and he was like, all right, dude, like within your criteria, which is very narrow. um, Here are like 50 buildings. Go check them out if you want. And so I took 2 days to legit drive to every single one of them. And I was
Wow.
crossing them out as I went, dude. And I came down to the last two, and I was like, man, I haven't found anything, and God help me. Right. And so I looked at one, and I was like, it's okay. I was like, it needs a lot of work and it's not ready. And this is a new thing for me. I've never gotten a business location. God knows how to go about this at this point. And then the last one, the very, very last one that I saw, I fell in love with completely. Like the moment you walked in, it was like an open garden. It was open from the middle. There was like fish, like there was a little pond. It was so zen,
Yeah.
trees everywhere. And I was like, dude, this is where it's at.
Ah,
Yeah.
write it down. It was meant to be.
I was like, yo, here you go. And it was a full service lease. So I was like, all right, dude, I have to worry about nothing, just making that monthly payment. And yeah, and then that was it. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm kind of scared, but I'm gonna pray about it. And God help me through this because I have no experience. I just became a doctor and no experience as a business owner and cash flow and things like that and marketing. And but it was a huge blessing to not be a part of all those clinics that supposedly wanted to give me some type of an opportunity. um, because the biggest blessing was where I'm at right now, spinal performance. That's why I'm grateful. I appreciate it so much because it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life, right?
Yeah.
So I started there, and I haven't stopped working since, man. I was going to gyms, doing a lot of social media marketing. I learned it by myself with, after having hired like 3, 4 people, I was like, you know what, man, I think I should probably figure this out on my own. That's why it's not working out. And so I did because it empowered me to learn the craft of marketing within social media and then establish a system and then just hire people for that system. All right, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And that's what works. Um, yeah, man, I haven't stopped working since that day. It's been huge since October 2015.
Dr. J, wow, man, thank you for sharing your story with everyone and with myself and all these listeners. I think if I could sum up your story in one word, it's perseverance, man. I think everyone having just listened to what you shared in your life story is probably looking at themselves like, man, maybe I haven't persevered enough. Or if they want to start their own business, or if they want to become as successful as you, it's like, man, you had to be honest with you, just hearing your story, and I'm not being rude, you had a lot of doors slammed in your face, man.
A
Like
lot,
a lot,
a
a
lot.
lot. And each time you got back up, and this is why, you and I are believers, but I feel like God closes these doors and it's like a maze. He kind of starts leading you exactly where he wants. And then I love you looked at the last commercial property and that God's
Dude,
like, hey, this maze, close that door, make Dr. J go here. Boom, you found your place, right?
right, right. And at that moment, I was like, man, it's too expensive for me at that moment. I'm like, man, I'm scared. But I think that that's where like God's promise comes in. It's like you'll be fine, right?
Yeah,
Like you're probably not supposed to know how to do it. like off the bat, like that's why you're here.
Yeah. No, I
Otherwise,
love
you'd be
it.
somewhere else, right? So I I subconsciously knew that at that moment, just because I was so caught up with like being overwhelmed. But it, yeah, it worked out. I, by the grace of God, I broke even the first month with all my expenses.
Wow.
And again, by the grace of God, in business, have been in the green since day one, man. Since day one. So I never needed to ask my dad for that money back. Just gave it. I just gave it to them, to him. I think it was like the next year. I was like, dude, just keep it. And
Wow.
that was huge. That was huge for me because um it shows like security for me that what God's gonna give you, man, he's gonna give you, mind you, with no expectation, right? Like God gives gracefully.
Hmm.
So grace is kind of what's gotten us through, to be honest with you. And um yeah, man, what's meant to be yours is meant to be yours, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's my one of my favorite verses is Ephesians 3:20, and it says, "Now all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we might ever think or ask," right? Infinitely more. And I love the key word infinitely, like more than you could ever think or ask, and you're living that. Can I know you said you had this really crazy story you just shared with us, and you get the shot. You said you did some social media. Are you open to sharing maybe some strategies that worked for you, or to get
Yeah.
you paying customers, or to, because I like, I'm imagining putting myself in your shoes, right? You just spent the last of your money from your loan to get this business. You got it all set up. You walk in on Monday, you unlock the door and you sit there and you're like, great, how do I get people to walk in here? Right? Can you share a little bit, or, hey, dude,
Yeah,
this really worked,
absolutely. I'll share two very key things that got me going. Now, what got me going in faster than social media, was me walking into 24-hour fitness with my scrubs. And they
Mhm.
say Dr. Jovel. And everybody's first question is, oh, you're a doctor? Where you check in?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm sports injury based, sports chiropractor, and pretty much any like shoulder, knee pain, elbow pain, forearm pain, wrist pain, foot pain, dude, anything pain, I got you.
Yeah.
And most of these guys um, that were in the front desk of 24 were like, dude, I need to go to you. And I'm like, absolutely. Let me get your number. Let me get your contact info right now, right?
Yeah.
Don't miss the opportunity. If you
Mm.
miss the opportunity, then bro, you just weren't ready. Like you have to be diligent with, if somebody shows interest in you, you have to lock that down, because there's a series of steps before you essentially, before the dollar goes into your bank
The
account.
close. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the first step. And if you missed it, then you missed it, dude. Because if you're coming to 24-hour fitness tomorrow, A, that person's not going to be there, or B, you're not going to get the same statement.
Mm.
So,
Dude, this is
so
real quick. I'm just going to interject because this is hitting me so hard right now. Because you found your target audience, right? You started going to 24, probably people who need what you have. You had the branding, Dr. J, it's a conversational piece, but then you took action immediately. I feel like, personally speaking, when I first got fired from my first real estate job, people are, yeah, they're interested. And then I'm like, okay, great. And I just left. I didn't get the number. I didn't book the meeting. I didn't take that extra step. So for everyone who's listening right now, what Dr. J just said is key. You seize that moment. Oh, I gotta go see you. Dude, let's book it. Book that meeting now. Get them in the door. Okay, sorry. Just had to interject. Keep going on after that.
don't miss that little window so you can get in there. So, all before I knew it, I had all these 24-hour fitness employees coming to me. So, and then I got it in with, all right, hey man, I know the GM. And then I was like, hey, can you connect me to the GM? His name is so and so. And I was like, yeah, man, like, is he going to be in tomorrow? Like, tell me what time he's going to be in. I'll go work out at that time. I mean, I got time. Like, let's
Yeah.
go. And he's like, yeah, man, he'll be there at 2 o'clock. So I walk in there 2 o'clock. Hey, what's up, man? How are you? My name's Dr. J. I'd love to have you here in my office. On me. I'll take care of you. Let me show you what I can do. Right. And that was a strategy that I started using for people that I know that can connect me.
Oh, I love this.
Right. So it's tough to get somebody to come in for a consult, exam, and treatment for X amount of dollars who don't see value in you just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to create that value by asking questions. Where can I help you? Like, is it shoulder? Is it knee? Like, what is it? Like, oh, well, nothing hurts, but I'm not sleeping well. Why aren't you sleeping well? Well, I have this, like, my shoulder kind of hurts when I'm sleeping, like on my left side. So then I'm like, hey, dude, that's impingement syndrome of the rotator cuff. Like, boom, let's check it out. Like, this is what's going on. You have to be really good at what you do, right? Opportunity meets preparation.
Yep.
So this manager came in and I was like, "Hey man, dude, I'll take care of you for free. Can you connect me with like setting up a booth at 24 Hour Fitness?" So he was like, "Yeah, bro. Like I got you once a month, and if you want twice a month, and you can do that too." He's like, "I'm the GM." And I was like, "Bomb." I was like, "When can I be there?" And he said, "Oh, I'll come in like next week or whatever." And I was like, "Perfect." So I got his number and everything, and I went there, I set up a booth and set up some flyers, got some flyers made. I got my spine, even had my chiropractic table. Like I took everything.
Wow.
And there's a lot of like talking to people and a lot of rejection, man. And you honestly just have to laugh your way through the whole like rejection process because nobody likes to be rejected.
Yeah.
And I can try to be as charismatic as I can, try to sweet talk into you like needing an adjustment, but it's not going to work for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, but I booked a lot of free consults and free exam. Hey man, we're offering a free consult, free exam. You have to get you got to get them interested in something, right? That they're going to get for free and you're going to take away if they don't go, right?
Yeah.
So, like, all right, man, free consult, free exam, typically, 150 or whatever the case. But so out of every one of those booths, I probably booked about 8 new patients.
Wow.
8 new patients is a lot, man. But
Yeah.
out of those 8 new patients, let's just say 3 of them came in and 2 signed up
Yeah.
for care. And then from there, I start asking for referrals. Like, hey, man, you know anybody? Like, have them come through, man. And that's kind of how that started. And then I remember going to this. I love my haircuts, man. Every 2 weeks, I need one, but I love my haircuts. So I went to this
Same.
this famous well, he's IG famous on Instagram. And I was like, dude, your fades are on another level, and I have not found a consistent barber. And he was like, yeah, man, come through. And so I asked him, I was like, where do you get all your clients from? Because you're completely booked, and I couldn't book you till like now, and it's been a couple weeks. And he was like, Instagram. I was like, Instagram. I was like, but Instagram's just for pictures, just like real quick, like just to like socialize, right? He was like, dude, believe it or not, like you just have to post a lot and you'll start getting people through Instagram. And I was like, what? Like, it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I'm gonna take what you gave me and just tweak it a little bit. I'm just going to educate people on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Let people know what I know. And I learned with Gary Vaynerchuk, if you guys follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, that value is everything. And his thing is almost put yourself out of business. Like, oh, you have a shoulder pain, you could do A, B, C, and D, and it's going to get better. That way you don't have to come see me. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I started just throwing a bunch of value, like, listen, man, this is what I've learned. And if you don't know this, then you should. And because it's going to help you with A, B, and C, you'll enhance your performance by D, E, and F, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that started working out for me because I was just giving a lot of value, and I still just give free value because knowledge and the application of knowledge is power. So that started working out a lot for me, and I started going into locations on Instagram.
Mm,
I put, where's my target market? Can you guess where my target market is?
right.
The gym,
Yeah.
right? 24-hour fitness. So I go to every single 24-hour fitness on location on Instagram. And everybody who posted a picture, all the recents, I'd like all their pic and I'd show some motivation. Bro, that squat looks amazing.
Yeah.
Bro, that shoulder looks buff. Uh, dude, like that's a lot of weight on bench press. And slowly people were like, who's this guy coming out of nowhere showing me motivation? These people with like 100 followers, 200 followers that are my target market.
Yeah.
And so they'd follow me back. And some of them would instantly be like, hey, man, I need to go to you because they'd
Yeah.
see all the value that I had already provided. And others would be silent and they just follow me back. And then 2, 3, 4 years later, I see them in my office like, dude, I've been following you since the moment you started your Instagram page. And I'm like, wow, dude, thank you so much for your support. Like it's amazing,
Oh my
But
gosh.
and that's how it started going, man. And then I started getting influencers, people who I know, and that's where you came in. We started getting a lot of people who have a following and saying, hey, man, like I don't just want to get anybody in here and just like give my like service for free either. Like, you know, my time is worth something as well. And if I don't value it, then nobody will, right? So then I started getting influencers saying, hey, man, like I noticed that your squat can potentially be compromised. Like, can I do some work on you to open up those hips and, maybe we could take your performance to the next level? Or, hey, I'm a local like sports doc. I'd love to host you and check me out. Like, if you ever need some work done, I know you're training once, twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
5, 6, 7 days a week. And, I'd love to have the opportunity to take care of you. And then boom, people started to be like, yeah, bro, like my shoulder hurts. Like, yeah, my back hurts. Yeah, I have a pinched nerve. I have all this. I'm so effed up, And I'm like, well, bro, here we are, like I'd love to have you. And then these people were like, again, preparation, which is my preparation. I perfected my craft, meets the opportunity of somebody like you to be like, dude, you mind if I post this on my Instagram story to my 15, 20,000 followers? And I'm like, what? No.
No, you can't, bro.
Nah, you can't. But yeah. And then slowly, we started getting known. And always, man, keep that rotating. Then you start doing like other things in office, like, hey, man, if you post this, free shaker bottle that says Spinal Performance, you'll get a free leg compression therapy with the Normatex, and like it's free, right? But
Yeah.
things like that, and it's things that God has given me. Hey, this is how you do it, and you do it ethically, and you do it with good character and honesty. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, this was like a master class. Free value for like anybody trying to start their own business or is interested in taking maybe their sales career to the next level. I mean, Dr. J just gave you a blueprint, a beautiful blueprint. I mean, this guy is incredibly successful. You'd never know it because he's so darn humble, and I respect the heck out of him for it, you know? But like just recapping like I hope you guys all timestamp this and re-listen to that last 10-15 minutes because Dr. J persevered, right? And he grew his character. He was getting molded. He gets his shop, right? What's the first thing he does, right? Finds his target market. That was step one, right? He starts going to the 24-hour fitness, right? Step two, he's like, all right, I need to seize these opportunities when I have them. I need to seize any potential lead. I need to book them, get that meeting now. Step three, he's like, I need to find someone of influence and give them free value, right? He gave, the GM free value in exchange for him being able to set up that booth. Now he's out in front of more people, his name, he's putting people out there. I think one of the things you said, and Gary Vee's big at this, and I'm trying to be better, free value, right? But also think about all those appointments that you gave away for free. Did you not get better as a chiropractor because you got to learn by doing. You got to work on people. You got to talk to more people. You got to learn, right?
Everything. And I got to refine my process in that because as I started getting busier, then I couldn't continue to just book these 10 free appointments and have only two show up. So I had to refine some systems in my office for that too. Right.
Hmm.
So you grow and you refine.
See, I think what he did, Dr. J, he got started and, he had that initial $11,000, right? But at least he got started. He took the leap. And I just know, that's the type of man, Dr. J, he's not going to let himself fail. Like he's going to learn by doing, he's going to figure it out. But even if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I don't know if I could ever do that, or maybe you are really successful and you're looking to tweak things out, just keep, like Dr. J, he kept going, he kept advancing to it. You'll learn everything else. And eventually, 7 years down the road, he's got a pretty good process and systems. Sure, it's probably not perfect, but it's better than it ever was before. He understands how to do it. Then you get an Instagram, social media. So, Dr. J, this was awesome, man. You give so much value for, I think, anybody, whether you're in sales, business, husband, wife, whatever. You just the way you approach life is amazing. Can you, just for our audience, I'm sure everyone's listening to this right now, probably sitting down. You're seeing a lot of COVID, people behind the desk all day, some probably very common either neck or shoulder. What are some things we can do? Like obviously everyone go see Dr. J, book him, go get an appointment with him. But what are some things maybe I could do from home, or like a stretch or a massage or something that I could do for some of the common problem areas that you see right now?
Sure. So for the next, so people who are looking in front of a computer 8 to 12 hours, two things. It's posture. You continue to have an abnormal posture, then you're going to continue to have the symptoms, whether you treat it or not, whether you get in there and massage it or not. So you want to make sure that you're ergonomically correct. And I highly recommend having the screen a little bit higher than eye level, because
Mm.
if you have it at eye level, you'll still find a way to do this. And the moment you do this, all the pressure goes here, right? Tightens up all these muscles. So I would have it at eye level so it can be more like this, above eye level. I'm sorry, to have it be a little bit more higher. And to also get a nice little pillow at the lowest part of your low back will accentuate the curvature of your low back spine, right?
Mm.
The spine of the lower back part of the spine. So it forces you to stick your butt out, like it pushes you like inward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to slouch when you're being pushed from the low
And
back.
and now you're kind of looking up too, so that makes
Exactly.
sense.
So you have the pillow in the low back or a lumbar support, and it pushes your low back, and it forces you to have a little bit better posture, of course, plus your screen, and boom, we're in action at this point, right? Ergonomically
Yeah.
friendly. And number two is try to use a lacrosse ball. Get a lacrosse ball, put that thing against the wall, put it in the shoulder blade, hold your arm and just roll back and forth. Scooch down so you can get the upper part and just roll it back and forth. And honestly, it doesn't really take a great deal, about 5 minutes a day, twice a day. It can help you significantly as far as keeping loose, because what people perceive as pain is the extreme tightness of the muscles because they're like this all day.
Yeah.
And get your adjustment. Quit playing.
Yeah, no, I trust me, even, Gemma, my wife and I, when we come in there, man, it is like night and day. And that's speaking to someone who's aware about the body posture. And I still do a lot of the stuff, Dr. J. I have a foam roll, I'll lacrosse ball, but I still need to go in and get those adjustments. And you and I laugh, man. Like we'll crack, or Gemma's in there, like, oh my gosh, that was so loud. And I'm still doing a lot of the self-care. So I think you
Yeah.
nailed it. It's still very important to come in, because we'll end on this. I think this is perfect. This is kind of funny, actually. You need those adjustments. Can you just real fast share? Because I know Gemma and I always would talk about this. Like, we watch these movies and people snap necks, and it's like, how do you learn to do that? Like, did you practice on a dummy or did you practice on somebody? I think of that one funny freaking show, Ink Master, when they give away like
Yeah.
tattoos for free and they're butchered. It's like, but dude, what if it's not screwing up a tattoo, dude? You could like paralyze somebody. Like, how do you learn how to do the next?
First of all, that's why you always have a professional do that, right?
Yeah.
But we started off in graduate school as, yeah, we used dummies. We used a spine to learn the angles on in which like some of these bones can move because they have different angles depending on the level at
Yeah.
which they're oriented. So we use the spine to learn the angle, and then once we start getting more comfortable, then our classmates,
Wow.
but we don't adjust right away. We just put into position, and then the doctor's like right there, just like looking at you. And then the day that you're ready to adjust, be like, all right, cool. You have them in the perfect position, go. And then boom. And then I still remember my first adjustment was crazy, but
Was
yeah,
it freaky? Were you nervous?
I was nervous. I was definitely nervous because you want to get it right. You know, the perfectionist and you just like, man, I really want to get this right. Don't want to mess up. But
And you don't want to kill somebody, you know?
yeah, that's a big one too.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, Dr. J, it was a blessing to have you on. And I know everyone who's listening, I really hope they go back to those last 10, 15 minutes where you were just sharing about when you opened those doors and built your business to the success it is now. And I'm just thankful to have you on and for your time. I know how busy you are, man. So just want to thank you again, Dr. J.
Sure thing, my man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening. We appreciate your support of the podcast. Please share this episode with a friend if you got value out of it. And go see Dr. J, man. This guy's changed my life. I had the worst neck and I was getting headaches all the time, dealing with frozen fingers. My hands were starting to go numb. I'm too young for that. It's years of football damage and weightlifting. This guy's changed my life for the better. So thank you again, Dr. J, and have a great day, everyone.
You're welcome, brother.